All right, going on to HB 2291, the patron Delegate Williams Graves. This is a bill to add sheriff's office to those law enforcement agencies that may be overseen by a law enforcement civilian oversight body created by a locality, and adds a non-probationary deputy sheriff to those law enforcement officers who are subject to such body if created by a locality. The subcommittee recommended to report with amendment 5-3, and I would so move, though I do understand Delegate Williams-Graves may have a further amendment.
Delegate Williams-Graves.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. After working with several of the opponents of this bill and working with my colleague, Delegate Levine, I am pleased to present an amendment that changes some language in the original bill. Line 43 removes the binding disciplinary action request as a requirement, and it makes that optional. However, the real meat of the change is in line 49, which is not very long, but I'll read. It will be inserted after locality. Such disciplinary determinations shall be binding on any non-probationary officer of a police department, bureau, or force of any political subdivision or campus police department of any public institution of higher education of the Commonwealth, and shall be advisory only for any non-probationary deputy sheriff or sheriff's office. If any sheriff's office declines, and this is where this, in my opinion, really gets good. If any sheriff's office declines to implement a disciplinary determination recommended by the law enforcement civilian oversight body, the sheriff's office shall be required to create a written record which shall be made available to the public of its rationale for declining to implement any recommendation within 30 days from the date such recommendation was reported to the sheriff's office. So this gives the sheriff's office the opportunity to review recommendations that were made by the oversight committee. It gives them the opportunity to accept them, and it also gives them the opportunity to refute them and to decline them, but to explain to the public why they are declining them. And I think that goes a long way in transparency. It also goes a long way in creating trust and understanding between law enforcement officers and the public. And so these are the changes. Again, I just would like to reiterate that law enforcement does a hard job. They have a difficult job that they do, and at the heart of what they do is catching criminals. But those people who are criminals have family, they have relatives, and they have friends who are in the community who care about them and who care about the way that they are treated, regardless of their maybe criminal activity. We just want to make sure that there is some oversight to those who put on a badge and a gun every single day and go out into the community and police the community. And I think this creates a really good compromise on both parts. As the sheriff's offices stated, they're elected, which is true, but they also have a responsibility to the public on a daily basis. And as brought forth in subcommittee, yes, there are internal investigations, but they are just that. They are internal. It's called IA, Internal Affairs. They have internal investigations. And so this gives the public an opportunity to review on a consistent basis what goes on with those who are policing. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Miller-Bryson, has the substitute been released to LIS?
Yes, Mr. Chair. It's up now under the subcommittee.
Okay, so the substitute is before. Is there any questions on the substitute? I see your hand raised, Delegate Wilt. Is your question to the substitute or the underlying bill?
For the substitute, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Delegate Wilt, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I asked the patron, did the Sheriff's Department, i.e. John Jones, participate in formulating the substitute that's before us?
I do not believe he participated. I do believe, quite frankly, that he does have a copy of it.
Delegate Wilt, thank you. Delegate Levine.
Mr. Chairman, I like this amendment very much. It does address some of John Jones' concerns. I don't know that it addresses all of his concerns, but he did raise in the subcommittee that he didn't think it should be binding on the sheriffs, and this provides a way for it not to be binding, but for the sheriffs to have to explain why they would reject a recommendation. And I like this amendment not only because I helped craft it, but I think it's a really good idea, and I would like to move this amendment.
All right, the amendment is moved and properly before us and was properly seconded. Any objections? Without objection, the amendment is approved. Now we have the underlying bill. Can I get a motion? The motion from Delegate Levine's subcommittee was to report and then
Move to
refer
report
to
as amended.
appropriations.
I move to report and refer to appropriations with amendment. Oh, actually, I'm not sure there's a referral.
Is there not a referral?
I don't know that there is a fiscal impact statement. I don't know that there's a referral on this. I apologize. So I would just move to report with the amendments.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, I think that's correct. Okay, so we have a motion that's properly second. Delegate William Graves, did you want to speak? I got someone else who wants to speak to the bill.
No, I was just going to say there was no fiscal impact.
Okay, thank
to
you.
this, so.
Delegate Wright, you recognize, you have the final word.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was wondering if there's anyone present today that can speak from the Sheriff's Association, or perhaps a sheriff that is here to express their view and any concerns they may have. That's the concern I have. Is we talk about transparency. We want to be sure that everyone that's being affected has a chance to speak to it. And I'm kind of concerned that no one is here from that this bill is going to affect.
Well, Delegate Wright, they were at subcommittee and they did express opposition to the bill. And I'm not going to keep taking testimony at subcommittee and full committee when they say the same thing. But I can tell you that was their testimony. They were in opposition to the bill. The sheriff's and have been consistent.
That mentioned yet. I'm glad to hear.
Yes. All right. So unless there's anything else, we have a motion that's properly before us. All those in favor of reporting House Bill 2291 with amendment, please vote on your electronic voting device. All members present who wish to vote have voted. Mr. Bruce?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Delegate Corey? Delegate Corey? Delegate Ferris? Delegate Ferris?
Clerk will close the roll. House Bill 2291 reports with amendment by a vote of 12-8. Thank you. Chairman Levine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The last bill is yours. Chairman Hope's HB 2325. It creates the Office of the Department